Hi everyone, welcome to episode 1 of Ferris IG Soccer Talk. Today we're going to talk about the word soccer. I understand there is a lot of debate in social media, there is a lot of controversy, there is a lot of people around the world that don't appreciate the word. They think it's offensive to the sport, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's get to it. First of all, for those of you who don't know, there are 7 sports, as far as I know, there are 7 sports that their official name uses the word football. There is American football, Australian rules football, there is Canadian football, Gaelic football, rugby union football, rugby league football, and of course there is association football. If there is any other form of football that I'm not aware of, please put it in the comments. Now, of course, the argument is that it's called football because it's a sport that is played with feet and a ball, and the other sports should not be called football because they're played with hands. Well, let's go back to the origins of the game. Let's go back to the 1800s in England. There was a sport at the time that was where the ball was carried across the field, or the pitch, if you will, using feet. Occasionally, players might take the ball, carry with their hands, but the sport was not organized. It didn't have official rules. So a group of universities in England, the representatives got together and they wanted to make it an organized sport. The overwhelming majority of the universities, they wanted the ball to be carried across the field using feet. There was, if I'm not mistaken, one university, I don't know if there's more than that, the university from the city of Rugby, that they wanted the ball to be carried across the field using hands. The end result was that the group of universities, the association, if you will, that wanted the ball to be carried with feet, created a sport that they called association football, and the other sport was called rugby football. Now, and this is important, why it was called football at the time. And I know it's going to sound very silly, pretty ridiculous for today's standards, but you have to understand this was the 1800s, it's not today. It was called football because the athletes were on their feet and they were playing with a ball. Now, they were running on their feet across the field, and they were using the ball. Now, of course, there's a lot of sports in today's time. I mean, we have volleyball, we have basketball, we have handball, we have field hockey, there's a lot of sports where the athletes are on their feet. So from today's side, it sounds pretty ridiculous. But at the time, it was called, again, football. Now, it was called football because the athletes were using their feet. Now, how the name came about? The name was made to differentiate between the sport of polo, and I'm not talking about, of course, water polo that's playing in the water. I'm talking about polo, the game that is the sport that is played where the athletes are on a horse. And to differentiate, because those athletes were on a horse, the others were on their feet, they call it football. And I get it. Like I said, it's pretty ridiculous for today's standards, but that's actually, if you think I'm wrong, do your own homework and let's see who's right and who's wrong. You can figure out by yourself. So that's how the name of football came. And then it stuck with all the other versions of it that I mentioned, like American, Australian, Gaelic, Rugby Union, Rugby League, Canadian. They all use the name football, even though most of the game is played with hands. So at the University of Oxford at the time, the students, they had a habit, if you will, to change the words, make them short and stick an ER at the end. And from that, the one sport became soccer, and they cut the A and then became soccer, and the other one became rugger. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, in England, I don't know if there was a TV show. I think it was called Soccer Saturday, and I don't know if it's still or it was something from the past. That's why I find it almost a little hypocritical sometimes when I hear, our good friends from the UK complaining about the word soccer, or indeed they were the ones who created. Okay. Like the other day, I was, and a lot of frustration of the fans around the world stems from, ignorance. Like I was reading the other day, this past December, when Inter Miami won the MLS Cup, somebody made a comment that Inter Miami did not win a football championship. They won a soccer championship, as if those two were different. I mean, how ignorant, silly, and maybe stupid somebody has to be to say something like that. I mean, the only thing that shows that this person, whoever wrote it, I mean, they're totally ignorant. They know nothing about the sport. They know nothing about the history of the sport. So, can we please all, get along and stop this silly nonsense about the word soccer being offensive? Actually, it's not at all. It's the appropriate word. That's what the game should be called, to differentiate, again, to remind you of all the other versions of football: American, Australian, Canadian, Gaelic, Rugby Union, Rugby League, and again, I don't know if there's another one. Okay? All right, well, thank you so very much for watching. And please hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.